addicts, I want to thank all the newcomers and those who's returning to my channel. As always, if you like this content and you find it useful, please smash that subscribe button, maybe leave me a comment and also give me a thumbs up, because it really helps to grow the channel and it helps me to find more time to produce these videos. Today's lecture, and it's a lecture because it's more theoretical than practice, and I know theory sucks. It sucked at school, at university. Practice is a way better teacher, but when you combine theoretical knowledge with a lot of practice, that's when the real results come. And I want to say that I'm no god in this kind of fishing. I don't know everything. I probably don't know even half of it, but I know something, and it might be helpful for all those newcomers and who's just starting to target salmon specifically, because I've been doing this for a couple of years and I have some knowledge. So at first is where to find that fish. If you've been fishing for salmon for a couple of seasons, you probably know all the good spots, or at least some of them, and you probably know how to find them and what to look for. But if you're a newcomer and you're just starting, no one really likes to share their best spots, or because they're already crowded and there is a lot of people fishing there. So let's jump into the Google Maps and I'll show you how to find some of those spots there. All right. We are in the Google Maps, and this is one of the more popular spots for salmon fishing in our largest salmon river. Why is it so popular? The river flows this way. So going downstream, we find this big rock formation. I'll just call it a big shallow spot full of rocks. It's a big obstacle for salmon as they migrate upstream, and there is a little crossing here. The flow in this crossing is very intense, and fish dumps a lot of energy going through it. That means it has to rest, and it rests in this part of the river. Now, when you come to that part of the river, let's say we come right here. You could go all the way over here and start fishing from here and move up the stream, but this way you will not see what's happening behind you, because you will fish on the very last part of this large pool. So I like to start fishing as much upstream as I can. In this way I can see what's happening in front of me and downstream, and if I see any fish move downstream, I can walk right up to that spot. Now, here we see a big shallow spot. The fish will not stay here, but what I observed, and I don't know if that's true, but it seems to be true from my observation. Fish loves to stay right on this drop where it gets deeper. From that shallow spot it drops to the deeper spot. Fish love this kind of area. This distance is a little bit too big to be comfortable fishing in this spot, because you will cast your lure here and the stream will take it to your shore very fast, and that fish won't see it for a long period of time. For example, if you fished from this spot, you can keep your bait here for a very long time, and that might provoke that fish and it might bite. So going downstream, I would probably check this curve. I would make like 10 casts from somewhere here, just scanning this part of the river. I would make one cast in front of me, then one cast a little bit lower, then one more cast this way and this way, and I will scan all this area with like 5 or 10 casts, depending on how good that part looks when I'm there. And then I would walk like 15 meters downstream and then check this little cutoff. So I would stand somewhere here and scan this spot in the same way, check this spot. Now this is an interesting spot. This is a little bit shallow, and this part is a little bit shallow too. That means that the stream is concentrated in this spot, and the shallow ends here, and this shallow ends here. That means the stream drops here and it creates a deeper spot. This whole pool is deeper. This is an entrance to the depth, and this is the exit. These parts are the best for fishing. Fish loves to stay on that entrance or that exit of those deeper parts. This is a narrow spot because this is all shallow. Fish loves to stay in these kind of narrow breakthroughs of the river. It's not a turn of the river how it is here, so the stream will not be that fast in this part. I would check again this entrance and this exit. And that's how we fish. We find a nice part of the river and we go there, and then we scan all these potential little pools. What I suggest for you beginners do, you pick a spot like this, for example. Imagine how everything works in your head. Go to that exact spot and see how it looks on the live view, and then you'll start to understand the river very, very fast, and you can read it. When you can read the river, you can find these spots just being by the water. You don't need Google Maps anymore. So now when we know where to find that fish, or at least the part of the river where the fish might sit, we can see a few clips from the last trip I did at the river and kind of see my raw reaction and my thinking process in the exact spot of the river, and what I was thinking about the baits, about the water clearance, about the wind, and so on and so on. And later what I did when I saw that fish, because we saw a couple of them. We are by the river and the water is pretty clear, although we had some rain in the past couple of days, but still very clear. So I'm gonna start with something a little bit more natural looking. It's not that deep in this spot, so I'll probably try with this crackjack as our shallow runner. Scan the spot, see how deep it goes, if I'll catch any grass or not, and then I'll adjust from there. All this 300-400 meters of river looks like a nice pool. The fish might be sitting in practically any spot here. It's all calm, even current. There is a few rocks in the middle, a little bit lower, and I'll spend a little bit more time there. And now I'm just gonna make a 5 casts, go 5 meters, 10 meters down the stream, and then repeat and just look for the fish. That's the starting approach, and we hope we can find one. As you can see, the stream is bending towards our shore. That means there should be a little drop to the deeper spot somewhere around those waves, and that is one of the spots where the fish might be sitting. It's a cloudy day, but the water is very clear, so I'm gonna go with more natural looking baits, at least at first, and probably more with matte colors because there is no sun. We chose this spot for a few reasons. Today is very windy and there is a huge hill over here, so it blocks the wind a little bit. And other thing is, it's fairly short pool because there is a drop over there and another one is just right behind the corner, and it's very concentrated in here. If you go up the stream to that drop, you can see half of the pool and you can absorb fishing downstream looking for that fish. It's easy to find the fish if it's here. Chubs are sitting in the middle of stream. That's kind of the indication that there is no salmon, at least in this spot, because that fish wouldn't be that aggressive here. This is a little bit of shallow spot here, and I want to go on it and have a longer cast. But before I do that, I always make a few casts close to where it drops from the shallow spot to the deeper one, just to check that little drop. Fish really loves to sit by those drops. This is exactly what happened when I caught my last big female. If you haven't seen it, there's a link here. I did it a little bit backwards. I didn't scan the area right in front of me as I came to it, but I remember it later and I made my first cast there. And you can see it in the video. It was one-handed cast, very simple, just to check that spot right in front of me. And what do you know? The fish was sitting right there. And we had a nice picture and a nice fight. So I'll just check here to make sure it's clear. Of course, it doesn't have to bite even if it's sitting here, but you never know. Fish. You see those? That was a fish. Macho! I was over here and the fish was somewhere around that broken tree. Do not rush when you see the fish. Think about it. What is the water clearance? How far is it? What's the stream? Pick a good bait for those first casts, because the fish might bite one time and you better be ready. Start a little bit higher than you saw the fish. We don't want to be casting on his head. And I just found out there is a little cold stream coming out here, so that fish might just be sitting and taking in this cold fresh water. Salmon loves spots like that. Starting with this matte red, kind of half natural, half aggressive bait from Pontoon 78 crackjack. Somehow looks like a good bait in his spot. I would really wish to see that fish one more time to know the exact spot where it's staying. As the bite comes in. Felt something, I don't know if that is the bottom or that fish just kinda poked my bait a few times. In a slow streams like this, you want something more aggressive. Pontoon house is a great bait for a spot like that. Stream is slow, the bait is aggressive, and it kind of works in this slower streams. The bite comes in. Also looks very nice in this stream because it's very similar to the pontoon bait. Maybe just a little tiny bit better casting one, but it's more expensive, so it kinda compensates one another. Of course, Jackson Rogos would work here too, but that bait is no longer in production. You can only buy it second hand, and the prices are astronomical right now. We're asking like 20-25 euros for a bait. I'm just not ready to pay that much. I have a few left from previous years, but not planning to buy anything else. Sadly enough, we haven't caught any fish that day. I had to leave early. I left my crew there for all the day. They saw more fish. I think we've seen like 5 to 7 different fish in that part of the river. We targeted all of them. Some we targeted more because they were more comfortable fish. They were closer to us. Those fish might be caught already. If they had the taste of a hook, they won't probably bite for at least some time. There is exceptions, things happen, but most of those fish that been caught lately, they tend not to look at your bait. Also, water temperature. It's around 15 degrees Celsius now. It's still very warm. That fish gets aggressive when the water temperature drops below 10 or even 8 degrees Celsius. That's when you get more bites. But also, that's when our season ends. So, as I said before, practice is a king and it makes perfect. You spend more time fishing, you develop your skills, you start seeing the river differently. But when you combine that practice with some theoretical knowledge, and eventually that will bring you more fish. It's simple, right?